Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be able to say to you, welcome to Cabal Vision HD, the new official Blood Bowl TV.
Hi everyone, I'm the Sage and you're watching a quick guide to Amazons. Amazons are a weird kind of team. They're either really overpowered if your opponent has 0 tackle, or they really suck if you're playing against dwarves, for instance. Amazons are also kind of bland because while they have 4 positional types, they all have the same stat line, they have similar skills, and so they're really a generic kind of team. Amazons have 4 positional types: the blitzer, the catcher, the thrower, and the linewoman. These do pretty much what they suggest. So they have the same stat line, 6, 3, 3, 7. They all start with dodge, and in case of the blitzer, she also starts with block. Now, importantly, she has general and strength access, and that strength access is what makes the blitzer so crucial to your team. The catcher are your agile player, I guess. They have the same stat line, they start off with dodge, but in addition to that they have catch, and in addition to their general access, they also have agility access. This means they're a bit more elf-like than your other players, although movement 6 and agility 3 will still limit them pretty severely. Next up we have the thrower. The thrower has, again, same stat line, starting off with dodge. She starts with pass as well, and she gets access to passing skills in addition to the general skills. So, yeah, pretty generic player type. You develop them to pick up the ball and carry it and throw it, and that's about it, really. Lastly, we have the linewoman. Now, the linewoman is really the basis of it all, so she has 6, 3, 3, 7. She just gets dodge, and she just gets general access. However, this is a 50k player, and having dodge and general access and strength 3 on a 50k player is actually pretty damn awesome. To build a good Amazon team, you're going to want to start off with all 4 of the blitzers. Their strength access is huge to your team, and starting off with blodge is also really helpful. You can afford to get a catcher and a thrower, or 2 catchers, but I prefer 1 of each. You can get 12 players, which is nice because armor 7. And this leaves you with 200k in treasury, which means you can afford to get 3 rerolls, they're also cheap, and an Apo. So I think this is a very well balanced starting setup. If you prefer, you can choose to drop the 12th player and pick up a 4th reroll instead. Now, I wouldn't really go there because I don't think you need 4 rerolls, especially because you start off with 4 block and with dodge on everyone. So really, you shouldn't be rerolling that much. Now, if you're the kind of coach that wants to play with lots of rerolls, then this might be a good starting setup for you. But I would advise to go with 3 rerolls and 12 players, and that gets you everything you need to get started. One way that you see Amazons built sometimes in really team value matched environments are what we call a min-max team. For example, you could do it with 1 blitzer and 10 linewomen, and this would cost you so little that you can actually afford to skill all of them up. So say that your blitzer, for example, gets mighty blow and piling on and tackle. Now, you don't want to overload on rerolls if you're doing a min-max build, so you probably want to give your main killer, who's going to blitz every turn, pro as well, because pro will let her reroll those pushes and stuff, which you're not going to be spending your team reroll on. Now, you can see that a team that has a player like this is pretty scary against rookie kinds of squads, and so yeah, jump up might also be useful. And so we're only looking at a team value 700 team here. And since these linewomen are so cheap, they're actually 50k, whereas a blitzer is 90k and only has block on top of that. So since these linewomen are so cheap, you can afford to give a whole bunch of them block. And maybe a couple of wrestle, and your team will still be at very low team value. So fortunately, the Cyanide game actually matches people up in quite big team value gaps. Normally, I don't really care for that too much, but if you look at min-max teams like this, it's actually good that this Amazon team can run into a team value 1500 dwarf team, I think. When developing your team, you'll want to try and focus your star player points on your blitzers. Now, they're useful everywhere, but these girls have so much more potential because of their strength access. I would advise giving the first one to skill, ideally after your first game. Mighty Blow is first skill and Tackle is second. You'll probably want Piling On as well, to maximize your damage output. At this point, she's pretty much finished as a killer, but you'll probably want to pick up Guard as well, because Amazons really need that with only Strength 3. For the other blitzers, I would recommend starting off with Guard, because of the same reason. So Blodge and Guard is really synergetic. After that, you can pick up Mighty Blow and she'll start up gathering star player points herself. And one thing I would recommend is actually Stand Firm. Blodge Guard Stand Firm is a really good skill set, and it's very frustrating for your opponent if they can't move you away, because then you'll get to throw your punches after they fail to do theirs. So again, Mighty Blow is really helpful, and I would recommend trying to develop a Surfer after this, because a Frenzy with a Stand Firm and Juggernaut just makes for a really formidable surfing threat. You could opt to make your Surfer out of a Line Woman, because, you know, Block and Frenzy work, but they wouldn't have access to Juggernaut or Stand Firm, so they'd be a bit less safe about it. Your 4th Blitzer, you'll probably want to pick up Guard as well, and Mighty Blow. So pretty similar deal. But yeah, that's what you get with really similar players and a really generic playstyle. You'll probably want Tackle as well, or Stand Firm, and this should kind of finish your Blitzer squad. Now, 1 Tackle is really not enough, so you could opt to go for Tackle before Stand Firm on some of these. For the catchers, because you have agility access, you can make pretty good markers out of that. So Block and Sidestep are kind of the staple starting options you would go for. And after that, I would recommend Diving Tackle, because it lets you really tie up players, and Tackle is very synergetic with that as well. For your thrower, you'll want to pick up Block as first skill probably, or Sure Hands, and if not, then that's your second one. Now this already makes her pretty much done. After this, you could start having a look at passing skills. Accurate would be the most straightforward one, and I suppose Leader isn't bad, but you don't really need it because your rerolls are only 50k anyway. For your Line Women, you'll want to spread out your star player points. You basically want all of them to have Block or Wrestle, and then they're pretty much done. And then you'll have 70k blodgers. That's kind of cool. One thing that you might want to pick up before Block or Wrestle is Kick, but it's not super crucial for this team because they're not able to capitalize on it that much. I do like picking up a couple of Wrestles, especially later on when your team value grows, because you'll run into more opponents with Block. So I'd probably pick up Block on the first few and then Wrestle on the last couple. At some point you want to pick up a second catcher, and I would develop her pretty similarly to the first one. So Block and Sidestep and Diving Tackle and Tackle. One thing that you'll probably also want on your Line Women is Dirty Player. This is only good as a first skill, and when she reaches her second you might actually want to fire her already, but having a big bench of cheap players that can foul really well is super useful. So this would be what a pretty developed Amazon team would look like with only normal rolls. So Killer Blitzers with Guard, Marker Catchers, and Throwing Throwers. Doubles on the Line Women or on the Catchers should really go towards Guard in my opinion. Doubles on the Blitzers might be Jump Up, especially if you already got Piling On. And doubles on the Thrower I would skip altogether. So this shows you a pretty developed Amazon team. And because you have a big bench, the armor doesn't bother you that much, and this team should be able to take on any opponent that's foolish enough not to pick up enough tackle along the way. Stat increases are pretty helpful to an Amazon team because your starting stats are rather lackluster. Agility is nice on almost anyone. It's great on the Blitzers and the Catchers for sure, and it might be okay on a Line Woman because you already have Agility 3 and Dodge, so with Agility 4 and Dodge you become elf-like in your mobility. It's very useful. Strength is amazing on the Blitzers and on the Catchers. It could be worth picking up on Line Women as well. It's okay on a Thrower to prevent getting sacked. Movement increases are a little bit iffy. Usually I recommend that your fastest player on your team takes plus movement and the others don't. However, note that you don't have any fastest players or any slowest players. They're all the same. So going from movement 6 to movement 7 might be worth it on a Catcher, on a Blitzer. It's maybe even more worth it on a Line Woman because they don't have great alternatives for the skill roll. And of course, having a movement 7 is the only way you're going to wind up with a movement 8 at some point. I'm not wholly convinced. I think you can have a great Amazon team with only movement 6. Let's have a look at the Amazon star players. So Amazons get access to one Amazon star player, Zara the Slayer. She's a Blitzer with plus strength and plus armor. She has Jump Up, she has Blodge of course, Dauntless, which is not that good with strength 4. She also has Stab, which is nice, and Stakes, which help her stab undead type teams. Next up we have Morg, the horribly overpriced ogre, Willow Rosebark 5438 with Dauntless, Sidestep and Thick Skull. I'm not a huge fan, but I guess she has her uses. Next up, Roxana. Now Roxana is really good. She has movement 8, strength 3, agility 5, and leaps, which means she leaps on a 2+. And she's a witch elf, so she has frenzy and juggernaut. And that means she can do some really cool surfing plays. Now, of course, leaping with loner is still scary, but this player can really change the way your team works. Bertha Big Fist is nice. She's an ogre with dodge and break tackle, and because break tackle lets you use the dodge reroll, you're not that bothered by loner. She's expensive though. Helmut is probably the star that we're going to see the most. He's a chainsaw with 6, 3, 3, 8, and chainsaw is of course a really good ability for a star player. He also has stand firm, which is not that big a deal. Of course, chainsaws with loner are always kind of risky, because you need to succeed on a 2+, otherwise you chainsaw yourself in the head. Gameplay wise, well, if you're faced with dwarves, you're rather screwed. If you're not, then you're probably gonna dominate. Don't be hesitant to really get in touch with the opponent. You might have armor 7, but you have dodge everywhere, and probably pretty soon you'll have blodge everywhere. And that means you can afford to really get in there, let him block you, block him back, disrupt his position. While all of your players start out with dodge, I would recommend not using it to dodge away if you can help it, but only use it to not get punched down when someone blocks you. The real thing about playing Amazons is playing connected, playing blocky, throwing lots and lots of armor rolls, and hopefully outbashing the other team. That is their strength, and dodging is not where you want to be. Of course, explaining gameplay is not exactly the same as showing it, so I would recommend you have a look at this video if you'd like to see the Amazons in action. Thanks for watching and good luck with making your own Amazon team. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to press the thumbs up. Your comments are always very welcome, and if you'd like to receive more Blood Bowl 2 content, then do hit the subscribe button on my channel. Alright, see you next time folks.